Hello, my name is Oyarzun. I'm originally from Chile, but I've been living in the Bahamas for the last 10 years. I'm a journalist, I'm a scuba instructor, and an underwater photographer. And also, I run a private charter company that for scuba diving, snorkeling, and free diving called Made in Water Excursions. And we specialize with diving with sharks. Um, First of all, I want to thank everybody that's watching or listening to this. This is my first podcast, and I'm a little bit nervous. I hope also you can get my very strong accent, but I appreciate your taking your time and supporting it. Now, if you want to keep continuing, please subscribe, leave me a comment, and let's see what it's come out of this podcast. First of all, I want to also explain you what is this podcast for. Well, this podcast is called Woman Who Swim with the Sharks. Okay, because I love sharks. I recognize myself as a woman that loved to swim with the sharks. And that came from a place that had no knowledge growing up. I did not know nothing about sharks. I was absolutely terrified. But life put me into this path, and I'm not a marine biologist. I didn't study about sharks. Usually I'm taking care of people, having fun or taking pictures. But in this journey, I met a lot of amazing women. They have so much knowledge, that I had amazing experiences that I hope to interview in each episode. So that will be surprise. Every week I can be interviewing somebody different, and then you can get so much information. And if you love sharks, you will absolutely love these ladies as well. Um, but I want to also tell you in this first episode is the introduction. I just want to tell you a little bit about my story, about what I do. Yes, and from there, we're going to take over. Probably I will do some episodes also talking about the first experience of divers, my experiences with sharks, some funny stories I have. But in this one, I just want to tell you a little bit my trajectory. So, as a journalist, I did my internship in Eastern Island. Is where I learned how to dive. I did one of my first episodes. Sorry, my first dive was actually an episode for my internship TV channel I was doing. It was quite funny because actually I never dove before, but the instructor, Henry Garcia, he's a crack. He actually worked and did sail with Jacques Cousteau. He was a crazy Frenchman, very, very special, very unique character. I hope he's resting in peace. He passed away a couple of years ago, but he definitely was my first connection with the ocean, and he was just crazy. So he told me for my first, for my TV show, he told me, if you have died before, we will go to this amazing place. We're gonna see an underwater headstone and corals and fish and amazing. If you never died before, we will go to the sun. It's gonna be super boring. So he kind of winked his eye, and I was like, okay, of course, I died before, I have died 7 times. I never have died before. So my first experience, I can get you about this experience with details in the next episode, but what I want to say, like my first encounter with the ocean was not very amazing. It was actually very stressful. I have water coming in my mask. I didn't know how to clear. I have water coming into my nose. It was burning. I didn't know what to do. My buoyancy was terrible. I didn't know how to stand. It was a little bit chaotic, but then Henry held my hand and he made me dive so at least I could look good for the camera. So it was an interesting experience, but I did not love it first. I thought I was a terrible diver, absolutely a terrible diver. And then, well, I lived in Eastern Island. Then I moved back to Chile, and I worked as a journalist for 10 months, and that was absolutely miserable. I was working in a social media company, kind of monitoring an airline social media. I just was reading complaints, doing reports. Absolutely insane. I did not like it. So I got offered, but it's a Brazilian guy called Claudio. He's a party manager, and he changed my life in Eastern Island. I get to know him. He was just doing like rounds around Chile, like to all the PADI dive centers. And I got to know him. We exchanged contacts, and then he got to be in Chile while I was working there. And he told me, "Why you don't become a scuba instructor?" I'm like, "I'm a terrible diver. I don't think, and I'm too old. I don't think I can do this." And he was like, "You can do it, and then you can live in Brazil. I know you love Brazil, and you will be living in a beautiful, country, beautiful environment. You don't need to be in an office anymore." He was like, "I feel your soul cannot stand an office." So he got me in touch with a dive center in Chile, in Zapallar. And I started doing, like, in the week, I was working as a journalist, and in the weekends, I was traveling to the coast and doing all my kind of my courses and working for the dive shop to gain experience. The water, it was 10 degrees Celsius, which is, I think, 40 is Fahrenheit. I was diving with two 7 millimeter wetsuits in winter. It was absolutely horrible. But in that point, I did not love diving. I was like, I'm doing this because I want to live in Brazil. I want to live in tropical weather. I want to dance samba. I want to drink caipirinhas. So I pushed through, but it was not my passion. I remember I was guiding sometime people, and after 20 minutes, I wanted to end the dive. And I was looking around, everybody in dry suits, and I was like shivering. I was like, "Well, we finished the dive. Like, who's enjoying? Nobody. Let's finish." I didn't understand why people was paying for that. And then, well, I finished my instruction. I finished, like, all my courses. I did my instructor examination. I remember August or September 2011. I passed. And Claudio got me a job in the best spot in Brazil, which is like Fernando de Noronha. Fernando de Noronha is an island in the northeast of Brazil. It's a completely a national park. It's beautiful, beautiful. It's like Jurassic Park. A lot of marine life. Everything is super preserved. A lot of dolphins. And I got there to work as a dive instructor. And it was hardcore. It was hardcore. It was beautiful, amazing. But the work was was a lot of work. We woke up 5 in the morning, and then we will need to load the big truck with all the dive gear. Sometimes we have 100 divers a day. And then we needed to load all the tanks also. We went to another spot, load 200 tanks, and then offload them, load the boat, because it was not everything in a dock. We needed to go to different stations to grab the things and then to put them in the boat in the dock. So it was a lot of work. Sometimes I did 7, 8 dives a day. Insane. It was insane. From, like, we started diving 7:30, we finished diving around 6. But it was a lot of experience. I gained so many experience. And it was a beautiful setup. Yeah, and then, I'm very social. I love a social life. So after diving, I was doing capoeira, and then I was dancing all night till 3 in the morning to wake up at 5. It was a crazy life, but I really enjoy it. And then I was doing as instructor. I did instructor, I think, 4 or 5 months. And then I jumped into underwater photography. I remember when I was an instructor in Fernando de Noronha, I saw they have another company that just focused on taking pictures of the people while we were, like, teaching them or taking them, on a Discover Scuba dive. And I was like, I want to do that. That looks actually way more cool. And, I'm a journalist. I always liked photography. But I never thought I would be able to do it because I didn't have the experience on underwater photography. I didn't have the equipment. I was like, I wasn't sure. But one time I crossed the owner of this company, amazing, Marta. She also changed my life, and she gave me the chance. She told me, like, if you're interested, I will give you the chance. You can learn. And then she took me a couple of times. She learned me how to use the gear, and she was like, "You're on your own now. Create, go, take pictures." And I started being an underwater photographer in 2013, working for Barracuda Imagines. And I absolutely love it. Then I love this. This is my field. I felt like at the beginning, of course, I took horrible pictures because, you need to have very good buoyancy. You need to, like, swim all around. But then I started gaining experience, and I really, really, really love it. But in one point, I touched, like, my ceiling there. Like, I was getting a little stuck. I was too much partying the capoeira, and I was living in the minimum wage, and I was in a room living with 8 other ladies, no AC, earning like $600 a month. My mom, I remember, she came visit, and she was like, "Pia, okay, it's time for an upgrade. You need to, start making some US dollars, and you can do better. And also my boss, Marta, told me, PS time, you can upgrade now. I think you have potential. Go out and chase for something bigger. And then she started helping me to look for other places where I can develop underwater photography. And she recommended me to come to Stuart Cove in Bahamas. And she had a contact, but they never got back to me. And I was already ready to leave. But in the meantime, she got me in contact with somebody else in Turks and Caicos that I could actually open an underwater photography center in kind of the dive operation they had there. So we were in conversation as I bought my underwater housing, my camera. I went to Turks and Caicos ready in 2013. And when I got there, I realized the guy was not there anymore. He had quit like a week before. So all my plans to be an underwater photographer there and my business went down. And I was offered if I wanted, I would stay there, but as a dive instructor. And it was not what I really wanted because I felt I was an underwater photographer, no instructor anymore. But I didn't have money. I didn't want to go back to Chile empty-handed. So I was like, okay, it will help me to learn English because by the time my English was very bad. And still Turks was beautiful. Honestly, Turks was not the best experience for me. Was an adults only resort. The resort was a little bit old, was a Club Med. So I have a couple of bad experiences would make me like close. I just wanted to leave at one point. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to the people was a little weird. And I started looking out. I was like, I need to find a job as an underwater photographer. And in the Paddy Pro site, I look for jobs and I found one in Thailand. As I say, freelancer underwater photographer for 6 months, starting November until April, something like that. And my contract in Club Med was finishing in November, so it was kind of the right time. And I was like, let's go. I sent my resume. I say I will be amazing. And they told me, okay, show up in November. This is the address where you need to reach, and we talk here. So I left Turks with $1,000 in my pocket, no credit card, nothing. The rest of the money, I used it to buy my ticket to Thailand and to buy a couple of more stuff for my underwater camera. And in the way, I was like, what if this place doesn't exist? Or what if it's like worse than here? What if it's like, it's not even a dive shop? But it was too late. I was already in Philippine Airlines eating cheese sandwich. And I was like, this is it. I have no money to go back. So I need to figure out. But I was so lucky. I got a very amazing company called Kontiki Lanta, Swedish company. And I remember I got there. And the guys would start talking to me in Swedish, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I speak English, but and Spanish and Portuguese, but not Swedish. And the guys, but you're Pia. I'm like, yes. It's like Pia is a Swedish name. I was like, wow, I didn't even know that. I bet my parents didn't know that either, but I'm here and I'm ready to work. They make some fun of it, and they told me you're starting tomorrow. And next day I was taking pictures of the clients. We went out every day. I took 2 days off in a year. In 6 months I took 2 days off. I was on the roll. I was selling all my pictures to everybody every day. I was killing it. For the first time, I felt I was making money. I was on fire. People were loving what I was doing. The owner of the dive shop was amazingly happy because we went 50-50. And finally, I get to go to my own room. I got to go to my scooter, and I was eating out every day because having dinner at the beach was $2. But the season finished. I managed to finally. I felt I had money. The season finished, and I need to find what to do in the following 6 months. I thought going to Indonesia, trying to find a job there, but I got an email from Stuart Cove, Bahamas, saying, "Oh, you will like to come in May," and it was perfect timing. I was like, "Yeah, I do May till November, and then I go back to Thailand." And I wanted to see my family as well. So I flew to Chile from Thailand, and then I went to come to dive here, to work of Dive Bahamas as an underwater photographer. It was a completely different experience at the beginning because I was used to, like in Brazil, in Thailand, all the dive instructor got together after work to get beer, to have nightlife, to enjoy. Everything is easy. Transportation was easy. Here in Bahamas, it's not very friendly with people that doesn't have money. Like, it's not very much of a public transportation. Everything is super expensive. And I was living in the corner of the island with like nobody, not many people. Everybody was kind of in a couple, so it was not many people to go around. So I felt a little depressed at the beginning because I felt super lonely, but the job was pretty cool. In another episode, I will tell you my first shark dive. It was very cool. I learned a lot. I worked with sharks. I worked with productions company in those first 5 months already. Um, and then, but I wanted to go back to Thailand. So I quit and Stuart didn't let me go. He gave me a pretty good offer. So I stay. I say, I'm going to stay for the money. I'm going to stay because I want to also be close to my family. So I stay and I work for them for 4 years, which I learned also so much. A lot of divers during the day, a lot of production companies, I did a lot of trips with them. So I learned so much, especially sharks. Actually, that picture is an oceanic white tip trip I took with them. And it was absolutely amazing, but it was also tiring because it was a lot of divers, a lot of diving. And life happened, and I got to be independent. I got I could quit Stuart Cuffs to start traveling with my clients. So my clients will hire me and I will travel to other countries, like other vacations they were doing, to do their underwater photography, to do their instructor, to take care of them. That was in 2018. I started traveling with my clients, go all over, having a very nice life, very fun. I got to work with very amazing families that I consider like very good friends still today. And then pandemic came, my clients could not travel anymore. So I had my boat. So I started fishing to try to pay the rent through fishing. But it started being a little heartbreaking. I hated to kill fish. Lionfish, I was happy and I was in a lionfish diet for like 2 months, but to sell other people, sometimes grouper, sometimes lobster, hogfish, and I started feeling bad. And at one point I was like, I think I want to try to pay my rent, like showing people about the fish, showing people the fish instead of killing them. And so even though I thought I will never be an instructor again, I started like to offering to certify people. We all were kind of trapped in the island. Flights were not coming in and out. So a lot of people that were working here that got stuck wanted to do something different. So I started offering certifications for diving for the people that live in the island. And I started getting a good report. I started getting a lot of people interested, and especially Latinos. I was creating a Latino community here, and I was teaching Spanish, and I started having fun, and we started creating a group, getting together. When the pandemic lifted, I learned like I love teaching. I love how many people were so scared of sharks, were so scared of the depth, or have lived in the Bahamas for so many years and they never been underwater. And the feedback I got, that joy, it was amazing. I started enjoying diving even more. Like it was like not about the diving, it was about the experience I was delivering to these people. And I work especially with Latinos, super scared of sharks, and they end up like loving sharks. It was amazing. So then I start considering, and my friends were like, why you don't do this for tourists, for regular tourists? I saw it's very far away. I never want to work with big groups. So I keep it as a private charter company, and I start, putting some ads in Google or word to mouth, and my company start growing. I got a lot of good reviews in Google and people enjoy it. So it's been growing and growing and growing and amazing. And in the middle also, I get to work in yachts. I do a lot of private guiding in yachts in Bahamas and Turks and Caicos mainly. Also about that, I can tell you more about in another podcast. Otherwise, this will be forever. And then and I start work. I have my own company. I take a lot of people diving with sharks. People ask me, "You are not tired of diving in the same spot almost every day?" I mean, again, it's not about me or the diving for me. It's about the experience. So many people get there. For example, today I have somebody told me, okay, we're gonna do the first dive. I don't want to see sharks, no sharks at all, and don't want to see sharks. Period. Or today. The second day we were in the shark side. This lady was around shark. She was actually asking me, "Come, shark, closer. I want to take a picture with it." And all that it just is what is for me about diving now. So yeah, well, in this podcast, well, thank you if you're listening so far. I want to thank you for your time. If you want to give me any feedback, please leave down in the comments. If you please subscribe. And from now, I'm gonna be telling a little bit more specific situations. I would love to tell you next episode about my first dive or how hard was diving, about my first experience with sharks or different kind of experiences with sharks, and of course the interviews with the amazing ladies that are doing a great job. So I hope you enjoy this podcast, Woman Who Swim with the Sharks. And I get to see you again and you get to listen to me again. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a wonderful day.